Right now, in nearly every company, the same meeting is happening. Someone says, "We should be using AI." And someone else asks, "Okay, but which one?" Copilot, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. 4 names, 4 price tags, and a room full of people who all have an opinion, and none of whom are sure. Here's the uncomfortable truth that makes this much easier than it looks. The models underneath these 4 are now roughly the same. A year ago, there were real gaps. Today, all 4 run a frontier model that can draft the email, summarize the meeting, analyze the spreadsheet, and write the report at a quality most people genuinely cannot tell apart in a blind test. So, if they're all good enough, then which one is the smartest is the wrong question. It will send you in circles, chasing a benchmark that changes every month. Let me give you the question that actually decides it, and then the answer, by the kind of company you are. When the intelligence is roughly equal, the thing that decides whether an AI tool gets used isn't its IQ, it's where it lives. An assistant that's already inside the app you have open, that you never have to go and find, gets used. An assistant that lives in another tab, behind another login, that you have to remember to go and visit, mostly doesn't. We spent the last episode on exactly why. A tool only creates value when it becomes a habit, and habits form around the path of least resistance. So put the benchmark charts away. There are really only 3 things that decide this. Where the assistant lives, inside your apps, or in a separate window. Which ecosystem you've already standardized on, and how much governance your IT team needs. Let's take the 4 through that lens. Start with Copilot. Microsoft 365 Copilot lives inside the Microsoft apps your people may already spend all day in. Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams. It isn't a separate window. It's a button inside the document. It can reason across your company's own emails and files, only the ones you already have permission to see, and it answers your IT department's hardest compliance questions better than anyone, because it inherits Microsoft's entire governance stack. The catch is the price, and it's bigger than the sticker. Copilot is $30 per user per month, but it is an add-on. You cannot buy it on its own. You must already be paying for Microsoft 365 underneath it. So the real all-in cost lands closer to $60 or more. And you knew this was coming. Buying the seats is not the same as using them. Now Gemini. If your company runs on Google Workspace instead, Gmail, Docs, Sheets, Meet, then Google's Gemini is the mirror image of Copilot. It lives inside those apps. It summarizes your inbox, takes your meeting notes, builds your slides. And here's the part most people don't realize. As of last year, it is no longer a separate purchase. It is bundled into Workspace. If you're on the business standard plan, about $14 a user, you already have it. A surprising number of companies are quietly paying for a second AI tool while the one they already own sits switched off. Then there's Claude from Anthropic, which started as a different shape entirely, a standalone tool you go to for the thinking. It's widely considered the best of the 4 at careful, long-form writing and at reading enormous documents. It can hold an entire contract or a year of board minutes in its head at once and reason across all of it. It starts around $20 a seat, but here's something most people miss. That standalone line is blurring fast. As of this year, Claude plugs in natively. It has add-ins right inside Excel, Word, and PowerPoint, with Outlook and Beta, plus a Chrome extension that rides along in your browser. So the old trade-off, the context switch, is quietly closing. Claude is moving to where you already work. And ChatGPT, the one everyone has already heard of, is the Swiss Army knife. Mostly standalone, though it too now has a native add-in inside Excel, around $20 a user for the business plan. But the broadest of the 4, deep web research, serious data analysis, coding, image generation, voice. And it connects into both the Microsoft and the Google worlds rather than belonging to either. If your company is a patchwork of different tools, or you simply want one capable assistant that does a bit of everything, this is your generalist. One more axis quickly, because it's the one your security team will actually ask about. On the enterprise tiers, all 4 now promise the same baseline. They do not train their models on your company's data. Beyond that, they diverge. How long a document each can read at once varies enormously, from a couple of hundred pages to, in Claude's case, an entire library. And the serious governance controls, single sign-on, automated provisioning, audit logs, data residency, are often reserved for the most expensive enterprise contracts. If you're in a regulated industry, that fine print is the decision, not the demo. So, the verdict. And I'm not going to tell you it depends, because that helps no one. Find your company in these 4 lines. If you live in Microsoft 365, Teams, Outlook, the whole stack, use Copilot. The model is already good enough. The placement is what you're paying for, and nothing else matches it inside those apps. If you live in Google Workspace, use Gemini. You very likely already own it. Turn it on before you buy anything else. If your work is heavy writing, legal, research, the deep analysis of long documents, and you're not locked to either suite, Claude is the strongest mind in the room. And if you're a mix of everything, or you just want one capable generalist, ChatGPT. That is the entire decision. And notice what it did not depend on. Which model scored highest on some benchmark this month? By the time you've actually deployed, that will have changed 3 times, and it will not have mattered once. Because here's the thing, all 4 of these companies would quietly prefer you didn't dwell on. None of them sell you the one part that actually determines your return. They sell you seats. They do not sell you adoption. And every one of these tools shows the same pattern after the contract is signed. A large share of the licenses you paid for simply going unused. The most expensive assistant in the world is the one that nobody opens twice. So the real decision was never Copilot or Claude. It's who inside your company owns the job of getting people to actually use the thing. The number that belongs on your invoice isn't dollars per seat, it's dollars per active seat. And that number is set not by the vendor you picked, but by whether anyone did the unglamorous work of building the habit. So here's the whole playbook in one line. Pick the assistant that's already in the app your team lives in. Then go do the part the salesperson skipped. 3 things to take with you. 1, stop comparing model IQ. They have converged. Compare where the assistant lives. 2, the price that matters is not dollars per seat. It's dollars per active seat. And that's true of all 4. And 3, before you buy a new AI tool, check whether you already own one. If you're on Google Workspace, you almost certainly do. The best AI assistant for your company is the one your people will actually open tomorrow morning. Everything else is just a benchmark. This was AI Actually.